The next indicator we are going to look at is the RSI, or it's also called the RSI Wilder, because the person who designed this indicator was Wells Wilder. He's done a few indicators actually, and he designed this RSI. So RSI in general is an oscillator, and you have the oversold line and you have the overbought line. Let me see if I can increase this. Okay, so now you can see the RSI more clearly. Now the RSI is an oscillator. So, all stocks, like we know, they oscillate and they go from an oversold category to an overbought. They come back, they go up again, come back into oversold and go into overbought, and this keeps on going. And so the RSI it's not an absolute measure. So basically it's just a cycling indicator, and it'll go from overbought to oversold and oversold to overbought, and this kind of a pattern keeps on repeating. Now the important thing about the RSI is, if you look at its defaults, let's go take a look at the study again, and it'll come into the RSI. The defaults actually come as a 14-day period. So it has a 14-period look-back period. And then the overbought condition default is 70. And then the oversold default is 30. Let me go ahead and delete it. Okay, so the RSI is deleted right now. We apply it. And so there's no RSI right now. And let me go ahead and add it now. So if you come to the RSI Wilder, and you should see RSI on all trading platforms. And so if you look at it, the default value is 14. So the look back period is 14 bars, and the overbought category is 70 and the oversold is 30. Now, if you just apply this, and you see, we don't get a strong signal. So, in this case, even though we know Apple has been oversold or overbought, but it never reaches those levels on the indicator itself. So what we want to do is we want to customize this. So in the RSI, you want to come here and you want to customize the RSI for a much more stronger signal. So in this case, for a swing trading approach, I've found that if you have the look back period as 3, and then if you have the overbought as 85 and the oversold as 15, it works very well. And so what we're going to do is, let's show the bubble as well, and then we'll apply this, and you do OK. So now you can see that this signal becomes a lot more informative. So here you can see that it has gone into an oversold mode, and here it goes into an overbought mode. Now, just because the RSI is oversold, that doesn't mean that we have to take the trade. Okay, so you have to understand the RSI, it gives you an early warning signal. So, here it's saying, okay, it's getting into sold. At some point, it's going to turn. So you want to take that as an early indicator, as a leading indicator. In general, RSI is not a leading indicator, but by customizing it this way, we are using it as a leading indicator. Similarly, as you can see here, it goes into overbought, and when it goes into overbought, it can remain in overbought for a while. So you won't take your actual trading decision based on the RSI. However, you would be getting ready for a trade. In this case, whether if you wanted to buy Apple over here, you would be getting ready. And in this case, once it reaches the overbought category, you would be waiting for a signal to exit. So we'll take a look at RSI and the %R, and there's a slight difference between the two. So in some cases it may be advantageous to use the RSI, and in some cases %R. So let's go into the Thinkorswim platform and let's look at the RSI and the %R. So here we are looking at Netflix. This is a 3-month daily chart. Actually, let me just go back a little bit more. Let's do a 6-month daily chart. And what I have here are 3 of the indicators. One is volume, one is RSI, and then the %R. Okay, first let's look at the RSI. So here on the Thinkorswim platform, if you edit your studies, you can see that the RSI is, these are the parameters. So you have the RSI itself, which goes back, the default values are, it goes back 14 days to calculate the index. The overbought condition is 70, the oversold condition is 30. Now, if you wanted a little bit more stringent, you can change these numbers to 80 and 20 or 90 and 10, whatever the case might be. But basically, you're telling yourself when you want to be alerted as to when a stock may be oversold or may be overbought. So let's go take a look at the charts itself and look at the RSI first. So here, as you can see, the RSI has gone into overbought area. So right here, it's gone into overbought. But you can see that the RSI, it remains in overbought for a while. However, the stock seems to have gone up a little bit further. It gives you a overall indicator that it's getting into overbought. So at some point, it's going to turn around. While it's in this middle areas, really, the stock probably is not doing much at all. It's not trending at any time. The percent R is also similar. It looks back 14 days and it's got a slightly different default setting. It's got 20 and 80. The percent R is a little different from the RSI, and so it actually may be a little bit more helpful in the sense that when the percent R goes to oversold, it doesn't really mean that it's telling you that the stock is going to turn around. In fact, it's telling you the opposite. It tells you that the stock has entered a bearish mode. So, really, if you look at the difference between the RSI and the percent R gives you a signal much earlier that it's oversold, but you can't read it as oversold. In fact, you have to read it as a bearish trend. So that's the big difference between these two indicators. In that sense, the percent R is more of a trigger indicator. So, if you see the percent R going into oversold quickly, and that's somewhere here, and it's telling you actually that it's entering a bearish mode. And so you can actually take a bearish trade, and sure enough, you can see that if you had followed the percent R, you would have done well. Similarly, if you look on the other side, the percent R gives you somewhat of an early indication that it's entering into a bullish phase. So rather than looking at percent R as overbought and oversold, perhaps it's a better way to look at it would be to tell you what is the current sentiment of the stock. Obviously, if it's in the middle, then there is then there's nothing there. As you can see, again, just like the RSI, the percent R is right, it's in no man's land right here in the middle. However, in both of these, in Netflix in the past 6 months, you can see there have been two big cycles. One was this big bearish cycle, and the other one was this big bullish cycle. And the percent R actually gives you pretty accurate. I mean, it's not going to give it to you exactly at the top or the bottom, and no indicator can do that. However, the percent R gives you a fairly good early indication of the current sentiment of the stock. So when it enters this oversold area, you're really looking at it as a bearish signal at that point. Whereas when you look at RSI, you're looking at it as a reversal signal. Whereas in the percent R, it could be a trigger because it gives you an earlier indication that the stock is entering into a bearish mode, and all the way till here, it does a pretty good job. Similarly, from here, it picks up, if you look at it right there, it picks up the bullish signal and it goes all the way till, let's say, till here. The big difference between the two and the percent R, if it remains in overbought, it's telling you the stock is actually in a bullish sentiment. Whereas the RSI, typically you look at it as a reversal signal. So these are the two oscillators. There are many more oscillators. The technical analysis and studies are extensive. However, you want to keep things simple in your trading. So whenever you, whether you pick a price indicator or a momentum indicator or an oscillator indicator, you want to pick one or two. If you understand how the indicators work, then you can perhaps pick the one that's best suited to your trading style. So in the case of oscillators, these are the two popular oscillators, the RSI and the percent R, and they both work a little differently. And sometimes you can use the RSI to see when a reversal point might come, and many times you can use the percent R to see when a particular sentiment sets in.